What is going on, guys? Good evening. It's your favorite mortgage lender, Delco Me, Got Mortgages. Happy Tuesday. Uh, second week in a row. I've been actually getting so busy by the time we get home. But I wanted to make sure I get out our market update, go over what are some of the changes that occurred over the last couple of days, what we have coming up. This is going to be a jam packed week when we talk about inflation. Last week, we got so many different updates on employment. We're going to dive heavily into that. We're going to kind of see how did inflation really expect now, and just with the employment market. I mean, what the heck? We were on such a positive trend when we looked at ADP private payroll, showing, I believe, 140,000 jobs that were created, which actually hit a 4 month low. So when I saw that, I was like, yes. And luckily, based on history repeating itself, I did expect, that the consensus will be controlled. And then they went ahead and pretty much came with the exact opposite with the BLS report of claiming 250,000 jobs were created, which obviously caused a huge change in the market. So let's dive into that, right? So again, big upside on the job surprise, which is what has really caused interest rates to skyrocket. We're going to take a look at that together. Private sector, which again is the ADP report. That's the part that I was talking about, showing that it hit that 4 month low. This was an interesting part. An increase in November's job openings, but again, is not the whole story. We'll look into that. Holidays, again, likely impacted unemployment filings. Remember, we get the weekly unemployment filings. So we'll see how that transpires. Uptick on home appreciation, meaning that it still makes sense to purchase a home and simultaneously gain the equity that you are looking to build off of when you're purchasing a home. And then what to look for. So here, let's take a look at this. So unemployment rate, this is the only really tricky part. Unemployment rate dipped to 4.1%. We're at 4.2, kind of moving in the opposite direction, right? We want the unemployment rate to stay high, creating that little turbulence of that's the idea of when the unemployment rate is higher, the Fed potentially needs to keep an eye on it or really step in and look to alter it. Now, the unemployment rate moved the opposite direction, which is why they're seeing interest rates basically shift pretty dramatic. Oh, this is pretty flat. Let's go 9/1/2024, where you can kind of see all of a sudden rates decided to move in the opposite direction, which we'll go over obviously all that fun stuff, right? Now, interesting part again, October, November revisions was down by 8,000. Now we are going to get, if you guys remember, I had discussed something called the QCEW. That's a quarterly report that essentially comes out. Not the past quarter, the quarter prior, they were off by 800,000, and the past quarter they off by 1,000,000. I really kind of hope to see that. We also see that change on the employment market and it not necessarily coming out as strong as it seems, because you can't possibly tell me that the private sector hits a 4 month low, literally, and then all of a sudden you're telling me that there's so many different changes. Now, again, the data report did look strong, which we'll look at more in detail, but you could see really a large companies are the ones that basically picked up a grunt of this. I shared at the start of the year, one thing that really changed was over 70% of stores actually closed, right? And we're talking about Express, Party City, Macy's, and stores like that. These people are going to eventually, of course, go and file unemployment, which I think obviously this data's lagged. We're about 2 months behind on this data. So we will still slowly start seeing some of that transition start to occur. Now, annual job pay, again, interesting to see, actually slowed down. There was only a 4.6% increase, and then annual pay increase once again down only at a 7.1%. So why is this important? Again, when we look at the bulk of people when they're being hired, meaning over 500 plus employees, the small businesses only added 5,000. Okay. And that's interesting because we know a bulk of the businesses that are out there happen to be between that window of where they're at of 50 to or under 50 to 500,000. Increase in job openings. So this is the important part, right? JOLTS, job opening and labor turnovers once again was revised. I mean, you can't seriously be off by 200,000 jobs and still basically have a job. But it was revised in October from 8.098, and yes, we have to get tactical or technical, to 2.839 million in November, which once again showing the hiring rate actually dropped to 3.3, and the quit rate also dropped to 1.9 at a 10-year low, right? Meaning that consumers are afraid to quit their job because they just truly don't know they are going to have the ability to be able to essentially get their own home. And at the same time, you're also starting to see that people are essentially reduction in hiring. I've seen it both on a professional level, right, with hiring our loan officers and sales assistants. So again, the Fed monitors this stuff not just on the overall number or the headline number, but really how is it monitoring that slack in the labor market and really those flaws in the data that we keep seeing. Unemployment, as I had mentioned, right, showed a slight decline at that 10,000 really jobs, which is really interesting to see because unemployment claims continue for the continuing claims continues to keep ticking up, right, at 1.867 million, which means that people are continuously going back and applying for unemployment numbers. Um, so that's important for us to know. Now, another good part today, that's pretty much actually before I dive into the good part, home appreciation once again showed that it jumped up 3.4%, meaning home values continue to go up consistently. This was done by Core Logic, showing again that uptick of almost 3.4% from where homes were at the prior year. Now, one thing I wanted to share with us also was we got updates on producer price index. Let's kind of go over that, courteous to our good friends at MBS Highway. Producer price index measures wholesale inflation rose 0.2% in December, cooler than the estimates year over year. PPI rose from 3% to 3.3%. Again, striping out the core, it was 0% last month, again, which was lower than the estimates of 0.2. Basically, literally flat. 0%. Previous year report was revised higher from 3.4 to 3.5, and it remained at 3.5 today. Okay. Fed's favorite measure, PCE report. This is coming at the end of the month. This is going to be a huge shift potential in regards to the different components that we're looking to look at, right? When we talk about producer price index, consumer price index, and then obviously this PCE report, could this potentially be a helpful report and really kind of help us shift some of the negative readings that we had? Because, guys, if we take a look at interest rates, basically within the last 4 months, we have kind of ticked just past the start of the year, right? Where at the start of the year, we were actually relatively lower. We kind of got back to like April-ish. Yeah, I would say around mid-April, where rates kind of teetered back up a little bit. So again, that's a lot of the stuff that we really want to make sure we monitor. Again, hate to sound like a broken record, but it's always going to be based off of inflation, employment, and the overall market stability. Listen, guys, for those who are watching within Jersey or listening to this after, the market in New Jersey is super, super hot. The homes that are priced correctly are selling very, very quickly. The homes that are priced atrociously too high are obviously taking longer to. So it's important if you're working with a real estate agent, you're running the right proper comps and comparables to ensure that that property meets the necessary specifications that you have and taking it from there. All right, guys, I appreciate you guys jumping on. I will always share this on our website, gotmortgages.com. If you put /blogs, you will go to every single market update that we have conducted over the last 2 years, specifically based on this with both the audio recording and video with the educational PDFs. Appreciate you guys as always, and I'll chat with you guys next week. Have a blessed day.